Welcome to Money 911, where we talk about health, wealth, and peace of mind. And y'all heard my fabulous guest, Jeffrey Hayzlett. And without further ado, we're just going to go right in here, Jeffrey. I'm really pleased, honored to have you here. It's really great.
Well, I'm honored to be here. Honored to have you a part of C-Suite Radio, C-Suite TV, and all the things that we're doing with the C-Suite Network. As you know, we're growing this thing, and it's because of great content like yours and other headliners that we have. So it's just fabulous to be a part of this today.
Thank you. You make it so easy. And honestly, I've been in the C suite for, a few months, and the people that I meet, the leverage and the community is over the top. I've made so many wonderful connections and look forward to creating a wonderful conscious giving council. We're working on that. And
Oh wow, yeah.
yeah,
It's so thank you for saying it's easy because there's a lot of work behind the scenes, and of course we've got such a wonderful, talented team. They make it happen. I'm just the pretty face out front, but the way you describe our network, I call it like the sequoia effect. Like we're this giant sequoia tree, and underneath the sequoia tree, when you walk into this redwood forest, you see these huge trees with these huge canopies, and we're that huge canopy, and that we create this lush ecosystem underneath, and it allows people to take our platform, use the platform to grow their business. A little education, a little inspiration, some motivation, and a chance at monetization if you get engaged, and that's what it's all about.
it really is. And that's really a good parable with the redwood tree, because there's there's a comfort of your wisdom of experience, and that's like, a lot of people have maybe wisdom of experience, but they've got a lot of ego around it, which is really not very magnetizing. But, you're the real deal, and you're a real person, and you're not, looking at your bio all the time about where you came from. So,
Yeah, I don't spend much time on that. It's like somebody, they always ask me in interviews, what's the biggest thing you've ever done? And I always say, I don't know, I haven't done it yet.
there you
Meaning
go.
there's always something bigger, and as you go through life, especially as you get older, more mature, more, I don't know, successful, or at least you start graduating from the school of hard knocks, you start realizing what's the most important things you should be doing. And it changes as you go. Where you might be doing something earlier in your career, or in the roles that you have, and later you're doing it differently. Just one, because you can. That's always a good one. And two, you learn, or you don't need to, or you don't want to. And that's I think a big thing about knowing what you want to do as you go through it.
That's really cool. I thought about that midway through my business when, being successful and then getting to the point, well, you can only drink one cup of coffee at a time. And how can I, right? How can I
Yeah,
use this to help others? This is like not all about me all the time. And that shifted, the shift of the give back inside of it. And
yeah.
that's another thing that I like about the C Suite network is that community has that, using what we have, like you like to say, the Warren Buffett, right? Rising tide lifts all boats, but the first to get lifted, right, are those boats that are already in, right, in the
Right. Well,
water.
you got to get in. It's like there's in one of my books I wrote this parable story about Bubba, who prayed every day and hoped that God would let him win the lottery, and the lottery was coming up, big pot. So he prayed, got down on his knees and prayed, went to church on Sunday, and on Saturday night the lottery came and went, and he didn't win. On Sunday he went and prayed again, says, geez, the Lord, why didn't you let me win? Let me win the next one, which is Wednesday night. Wednesday night came and went, and he didn't win it again. And so he prayed some more and said, please, dear Lord, let me win on Saturday again. And of course he didn't win. And on Sunday he goes, dear Lord, what do I have to do? I'm a pious man. I'm a good man. I've lived everything the way you asked me to do. And finally the Lord spoke to him and said, Bubba, buy a ticket. You got to buy a ticket. You got to buy a ticket to get in. And that, it's like, I have people come to me all the time. Jeff, can you do this? Can you do this? Well, get engaged, come in. I'm to the point now, if you want something, if you want to do it, first of all, you got to do it yourself, because I wrote my very first book called The Mirror Test. The person responsible for your success is looking at you in the mirror every single day.
Right.
And first you got to do that. And then next you have to get engaged. You have to get networked, and you have to get in with other people. And now there's new ways of doing it. We're not meeting like we used to all the time. We found that, this works really well. This video, medium that we're using, is working well. We don't have to do as much traveling. We can work from home more. I mean, I own the IBM building in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, but IBM moved out because they just don't, they've got everybody working from home. I mean, so it's, it's like I've got this big building, so we all learn to do it differently, but you got to get engaged. You got to network, and COVID caused a great deal of that. Days became weeks, weeks became months, months became years. And now we've learned that we can do it at a faster pace and much more direct. It's
Right.
awesome.
It is awesome. And everybody's rising together, everybody's helping each other, and the networking is what connects us all. I
Yeah.
mean, staying in the little silo, you can only go so far. And with that flow, there's this, you know, your new book, Never Waste a Good Crisis, is
Yeah.
so appropriate because there's only so much news you can listen to, but it's pretty dismal. I mean, there's so many crises. I changed my podcast from Ready Set Retire to Money 911 because
Hmm.
it is a crisis, and honestly,
Well,
right?
yeah.
I said,
Yeah, look what's going on. I mean, right now, as we're taping this today, there's the debt ceiling crisis that we're in
right,
in front of. But the book that I wrote and that collaborated with 40 other folks that I asked to come and contribute, add a piece to that, was all about the looming economic crisis, the recession that we're going to we'll get. When someone would say that we're into it right now, and
yeah,
my point is, never waste a good crisis. Because even during the darkest times, even when we had some really bad times, and this recession doesn't look to be as bad, but nonetheless, it's still bad. For the person that's losing the job, for the person that's lost an account, for the person that's business is declining. Look, I don't. You might say it's not that bad. It's bad. It doesn't make a difference. It's still bad, but you can, you do some things, and I point out 5 different ways that I point out, at least, and then there are 40 other contributors who give even more great advice and not just advice, great counsel is given by people who have been there before. Advice is usually given by people who've never done it, but you certainly could take both and see if they apply to you. And that's the most important piece of it, is, can this work for me? Because sometimes it isn't always the idea that I want to implement, it's the things that I don't want to do. And so you have to get a little bit more focused. And during a crisis, or doing any kind of downturn, or thing that might be a barrier for us to do business, this is a great opportunity to actually do more. And that's what the book is serving, is a little bit more of a jump start and a shot in the arm. Back when COVID hit on March the 13th, Friday the 13th, 2020. Now, a lot of people think Friday the 13th was done during the Knights Templar, when the Pope tried to kill all the knights back in the 1300s. That's really not it. It's really Friday the 13th was bad because that was the day that Disney World said they were shutting down. And crap gets real when Disney World shuts down. So that was the day. But I came out that following Monday and said, well, we got to do something, because it's going to be, look what's happening. And literally that week I said, look, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I can't even sew a mask, but what I can be is a business first responder. And so this book is meant to give some hope and some aspiration, some inspiration, motivation for people to say, hey, even during the worst times, because Kris, you participated in the C-suite. We've talked about this. I did a television show episode, which is around this book, talking with 5 different economists, world-class economists, talking about the opportunities. But you think back to 2008, when 2009, when we had some really rough times here in the United States and worldwide, some of the greatest companies in the world were born. Uber, Airbnb, two big ones that came out of the recession, came out of that, downturn, depression, almost depression. And so there's hope for everyone. I can go way back in history, and like Hewlett Packard was found during bad times, and then I even cite in the book, some great companies that did really well, double-digit growth during the last recession that we had. So there's a lot of opportunity for people.
I totally agree. And it really is a mind shift. I mean, you can hit your thumb in a hammer and curse the air, or, okay, well, take a deep breath and find the light inside of everything that's happening. You say there's 5 things that you talk about the book, and what do you see? Because you're the leader of leaders, and you've connected with a lot of people in leadership position. What do you think that
Well, I
Leadership
mean,
is a
just
good word.
I'm not going to give away everything because you want to read the book. All you got to do is email me at jeffreyh@hayzlett.com or
So smart.
jeffrey.hayzlett at c-suitenetwork.com, c-suitenetwork.com, or go to our just go to our webpage, c-suitenetwork.com, and you'll be able to get a download of that book for free. It's free. We
Free.
just want people to have it. And which
That's
is really
cool.
great. I'll give you one great thing I think is that, if you look right today, 53 to 56% of the customers that you do business with today will do more business with you. What are you waiting on? So you got to get out there and reach them and say, hey, what more can I do? What can I do to help you? I'm giving you great value already. So how about some more value? You want more? You want more of this good stuff? So that's just one piece of it. The other one is, and I have a great quote, is from Art Laffer. He says, "Never catch a thrown knife." I thought that was a great piece.
Yeah.
So even though we know it's coming, doesn't mean we have to adhere to that. We don't have to believe it. We don't have to do it. So why not surround the top customers that you have? Most of us all have the Pareto principle. 80% of our business comes from 20% of our client base. So go to that 20%. What are you doing to nurture them? What are you doing to go find more like them? And then increasing that business and taking care of, because you don't want them walking away. If 80% comes from 20% of your clients, then you really don't need all the other clients that you're serving, but you need more people like that to give you even more business. So really find and spend some time. It's, a lot of people say, oh, I trust my gut. Don't trust your gut. Trust data. Data tells you where these people are. Data tells you where your customer base is. Data tells you what you've got. And the smart marketer and the smart CEO, and by the way, I don't think we're all smart, but our job is to be the most strategic people in the room, not the smartest people in the room. But if you're strategic, that's the kinds of questions you'll be asking yourselves, and you'll trust the data, and you'll go after more and more customers like that.
That's it. Strategic. And, in your book, you talk about decisive action, right?
Yeah.
And
So, yeah. Yeah, I love that. Sorry, you put the quarter in, you get to go for the full ride with me, Kris. It's just like boom. It's like, what question? It's like Henry Kissinger showed up for a press conference years ago and said, "What questions you got for my answers?" It's like boom, I'm ready to go. So,
right. That's it right there. And you push go and you're on, right? So, you've been in a lot of organizations and seen a lot of people. What have you seen like just over the top have transformed people's businesses? Like just a few, maybe
well,
an example of that.
there's a lot of them. I mean, I've bought and sold over 250 businesses, 25 billion in transaction. I've been a Fortune, 100 officer, one of the most elite positions there are in the world. More people playing professional football in the United States than there are Fortune 1000 officers in this. So it is a very elite group. The biggest transformation, the biggest things that I see with businesses that really do well is they're extremely focused. And they're focused around doing one thing, and that is, what problem are they solving? They really know what they're doing. They really know what problem they're solving. My son is the chief marketing officer at the C-Suite Network. And, I used to think I was one of the world's best marketers, but man, he has got me beat to beat the band. And not just because he's my son, it's just because he's just really smart. And, he once said that to me. He said, "What problem are we solving?" I said, "Well, man, that's just a great, I used to say, just be successful, capture customer behavior," which I think is important. But the most important piece of that is, what problem are you solving? Because if you're solving a problem for somebody, there's a greater value there. And so I think those companies that do extremely well, good or bad times, is they're extremely focused on solving problems for their customers. That's it. And if you're doing that, then you're going to be succeeding because you're giving great value back, and you know what you're doing, and you rally everyone around it. So you're not distracted, because so many times in business, as Kris, it's squirrel, squirrel. We're chasing squirrels, and leadership goes from this thing to this thing. I'm on numerous boards. I serve on about 14 corporate boards today. 3 of them are publicly traded companies. And I'm on one particular board, and I'm concerned about it, because I just don't think the company's going to make it, because the squirrel moments that I see every single day with the leadership of that company. And I keep trying to ask the questions, and they keep giving me the wrong answers. And so when you see that, there's signs. A lot of people come to me, about podcasts and say, "Jeff, you want to listen to my podcast?" No. my deal is, are you solving something for somebody? Do you believe you got great content? You got good following, everything else, then you're going to do well. Now, do you want to be a superstar? If you want to be, at the top echelon, well, then there's certain things you have to do. But by and large, you can show up and still do a pretty good job. Now, let's make you do a better job, and you can sense right off the bat whether the podcast is going to be great, or the blog's going to be great, or the book's going to be great, or the consultant's going to be great, or the trainer's going to be great, or the whoever, or even the leadership team. If you've got enough experience, you can literally just in moments smell it, taste it, feel it. The chemistry is just, whether it's online or offline, you can get a good sense pretty quick.
That's absolutely true. And you just feel it and know it. And that's a gift for sure.
Yeah.
When you're working with everybody, how do you communicate? Like, you have the vision and you got all these rallying the teams together, kind of herding cats, I would think.
Yeah.
And so you're basically, the focus of how do you help people, but how do you get them all together? Like, you're
Well,
talking.
I think the biggest, I talk about mutual conditions of satisfaction. I think that's probably one of the biggest leadership mantras that I live by, is what's our mutual conditions of satisfaction? Again, what problem are we solving? What are we trying to get done together? And if we have agreement on that, then the action cycles around that should be fairly clear. And then we have to be clear inside the organization who's the customer and who's the performer.
Right.
And by the way, we have that in our personal relationships between husbands and wives sometimes, and kids and parents, and friends, and coworkers. Sometimes I'm the customer, sometimes I'm the performer, and we have to be very clear about our roles. And then what is our ask and what are we solving, right? So if we know, we really get focused on that. And I spend time with that. Like, let's don't start anything until we know what the hell we're doing. And what are you asking me to do? Because, I've showed up in meetings and they'll say, well, you didn't deliver. Right? Well, what do you mean didn't deliver? What did you ask me to do? Well, you asked me, did I commit to it? If I didn't commit to it, then I'm not doing it. I don't know what part of that don't you understand, So, you have to be very clear in the ask, and you have to be very clear in understanding. And with the ask, there's 4 parts of an action cycle. There's the offer, there's the negotiation, the acceptance, there's the doing, the performance of that, and then there's the delivery and satisfaction. Are you satisfied? And so, once you understand some of those basic parameters that you're going to work inside in a C-suite, especially. Now, C-suites are very good about that because they usually have risen enough in the ranks, to get to that. Not every C-suite. Like I said, I'm on this board, and I'm telling you, it's like, it gives me a headache every time we get together on the board and board call. I was on one today, and it was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And then I have to voice to the CEO, to call the CEO and say, well, this is a mess. You got to fix this. And then, I even had to have a conversation with the CEO, like, you've got to get rid of that executive. Well, that's a partner. I go, I don't care. I'm telling you, if you keep that person on, that person's going to have you fail. And I'm drive that home, because that's my job when you're on a board. Your job is, again, to clear the pathway so that they can be successful.
Boy, that's so true. And as you're going through with these companies, you have innovation and resilience. And then even if you just get one negative guy in there that's, trying to, it could drag the whole thing down. And so you have to foster the innovation. But with all the bombardment, and just whether it's, C-suite or people that are just day to day, like you said, with relationships, what one top thing would be takeaway? Like, how do you maintain? How do you just keep your balance and not go downward spiral?
Well, first of all, you can only be as good as your lowest common denominator. So eliminate the lowest common denominator.
There you go.
So, there's nothing wrong. Jack Welch used to do this all the time. He just said, take the bottom 20 and get rid of them. Bottom 20, get rid of them. Bottom 20, get rid of them. And you keep increasing. Well, there's some greatness to that. But if we're all focused on where we want to go and how we want to go, that's important. Now, the how is important, because not just the mechanics of that, but what's our cadence? What's our energy? I
Yeah.
mean, if you walked into businesses before and you can feel, like we said, we can feel it. We can tell if the energy's up or it's down. We can tell the mood of the business. And
Right.
I spend a lot of time focused on mood because everybody talks about culture, culture, culture. Culture will eat, strategy for lunch. We've heard that comment many times. And it's so true. But mood will kill everything because, see, culture takes a long time for you to develop. Now you say, hey, this is our culture, right? But culture is you, me, the other person, all combined make up our culture. Well, and it takes a while for us to develop that sense of culture, but we can change our mood. I mean, how many times have we been in a restaurant, all right? And the restaurant the food is just so good, but everybody's kind of snotty and kind of rude,
Right.
then you don't want to go back. But yeah, the food, you're there for the food. But how many times you've been to a restaurant where the food's not that great, but it's fun and
Right.
it's great to be there and you want to hang out? I've got a restaurant here in South Dakota that's like that. It's not the best, but you know what? I love it. Because,
Yeah.
and I go there 5-6 nights. I've eaten everything on the menu, and it's not that great. Now they do serve a very generous portion of scotch. That does entice me a great deal. All right, but their desserts are frozen. They're thing to thing. They got the standard thing. Big menu's way too big. All those kind of things. But it's okay, and it's cheap. But I love the people.
Yeah.
I love the people that come and hang out there, and you get to meet them. Even the guy that drinks too much at the bar, and he's with his 2-3 friends, and all the stuff you can imagine, right?
Right.
And so mood is a big part of that, and it's just something that as business leaders we have to constantly be working on, along with that cadence. How fast? How fast? How fast? How can you move things? And what is the way in which you're standard operating things between each of the team members and how we respond to each other, how fast we do it. After 5 emails, we got to pick up the phone or get on a Zoom call and get it resolved because it's gone too many times in
Yeah.
iterations or whatever it might be. These are the things you have to pick up. And I think that we want to work on. But I love cadence. I mean,
Yeah.
that just tells you the speed of which things are going to get done inside the business. So
Right.
I tell my folks when they say, Jeff, it's cold, I say, just we'll work harder. You'll warm up, just go. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, right. And the mood and the cadence is like writing a song. So, you're
Yeah.
getting right, you're getting that cadence. So that's the beat you're getting. Now, when you got that beat going, and then they're listening to the mood, which is the negative, oh, or the nuclear
Oh,
war,
yeah. Right.
this and the that, and no, and then the cadence changes, right?
Yeah, and I'm about getting rid of all that. I literally I'm chairman of the C-suite network. We have a CEO. I said I don't want to deal with negative people. Get rid of them, whether they're members or their staff or customers. Nope, not interested. I don't need that in my life. I'm done with that. And
Yeah.
I have 3 conditions of satisfaction for myself: build wealth for me and my family. I grew up not in a very rich environment. In fact, very poor. Not what I would call dirt poor, but trailer park poor.
Right.
We lived in trailer parks as I was growing up because my dad was in the military and didn't have a lot of money, and that's just the way it was. And so now I want my family and their families to have more than what I did, and I want to be that conduit and catalyst for that. That's one. 2, I want to do things that are interesting. I want to learn things. I want to know why once my son held up when he was like 3 years old, an ink pen and said, how do they get the ink in there? I don't know. But, he asked a great question. I want to learn things. And then third thing is I just want to have fun and work with people that I respect and like and admire and, who I find to be interesting. And then if I can't have all 3 of those things, not too interested.
That's so, and it's that there's decisive right there. Like you're not fun. I'm done. Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like I don't want to work with assholes. I don't know. I don't know where else we put the show. Maybe you can't say that, but you'll get a couple of red marks. Red marks are always good when you get those red marks on Apple Podcast or something. That's a lot of my podcasts have that because I tend to swear a little bit.
No,
You,
that's
yeah,
not
even without you mentioned hitting your thumb with a hammer. I don't even hit my thumb with a hammer, and I swear consciously. So there you go.
right. Right. I'm always trying to be right, but that probably brings more people listening, I guess, because because it's real, right?
Yeah, well, it is real, And by the way, that's an important thing I think has to happen. I wrote about this, 13 years ago, 14 years ago in my first book. The mirror test is, we have to be authentic to who we are. and look in the mirror and ask myself, who am I and what am I? What do I want to stand for? What are the values that I want to put forward as a company or as an individual? And we've gotten away from some of that. We're afraid of staking out our position. And there are companies. I wrote about this in the Hero Factor as well, my last book, which is all about companies that operate based on values. You might not like their politics, might not like their decisions, but by God, they took a side. They picked a side. You might not like Donald Trump, but I said he was great for this country, not because of his politics or any of his other decisions. Oh, they think he did some good things, and I think there's some things he did bad. And I'm not to the right of Attila. I'm right of Attila Hunt on most things, but not when it comes to politics. Okay. But what he did well, and I wrote this in the book, was he picked a side. He made you pick a side.
Right.
He said something so offensive or so good, depending on how you felt, that you felt you had to choose a side.
Right.
That I think is important. Okay.
Yeah.
And so if you look at, you say, well, he didn't do anything. Look, he at least did that. And same thing, let's go look at companies like Starbucks. Starbucks made like when two young black men in Philadelphia walked into a coffee shop and they called the police on them because they wouldn't leave. They shut the whole company down to retool it to tell everybody again, let's think about what Starbucks is. Starbucks isn't a coffee place. You just got to come buy coffee. It's a community place. It's a place for you to come and gather. How many of us have sat in the Starbucks for 3 or 4 hours, never ordered a cup of coffee? Because it is a gathering place for the community. And that's how Howard Schultz started that company. Or let's take Kathy Truitt Kathy, the founder of Chick-fil-A. You might not like the fact he doesn't he's vocal about same-sex marriages, okay, which I disagree with his position on, and he shuts the place down on Sunday, okay, because he said that's a day of rest. Well, though he owns the damn company. He has every right to say the way he wants to run that company, by gosh. And, while I disagree with him on that, he still makes a damn good chicken sandwich. So, you've got to make a decision to pick a side. Are you going to buy from him or not buy from him? I'll choose to buy from him because I still value that he has the right to make his own decisions about what those are. I can go on and talk more about Starbucks and other companies that have just really done a great job. And I just think we need more tolerance of that.
Yeah.
That's what our country stands for, and business should be able to do that too. And you should be able to take a side, and it's okay. It's not the end of the earth, just because it's against your politics, your sensibilities or whatever. As long as you're not hurting somebody else, I think it's okay to. Now you could argue whether that hurts somebody or not, but in this country, you're entitled to take those positions. As much as I might disagree with it.
Right. We used to just be able to, we may have different politics, but be able to talk real and go, yeah, well, that was good. Or that,
and by the way, it's okay to have that. I've got friends who I just think are total idiots, but they're friends. You got to have one. Because if you look around and you're with a bunch of friends and those are the idiots, or you can't find them, then you better start looking at yourself, right? Now, exactly. But we all have some of that. We're all a little bit nuts, and it's okay. And by gosh, it's like I've been married for 40-some plus years. I know me. I wouldn't be married to me. And I got friends who are good friends of mine, and I know me. I wouldn't be there. I'm surprised they got me as friends. So there you go.
Yeah, that's honest. No, that's why I like you, and I think that's what your honesty and the transparency word is so overused that it doesn't even. But it's just being real and heartful, and it's just a different way than most people think that they have to be.
Well, I even like, it's like sometimes some people get mad when somebody says no. I'd rather have you tell me no right off the bat. You don't want to do business with me. You don't want to do, I'm not interested. Okay, fine. I'm not, then move on. There's 28 million businesses in North America. I think I can find more people to do business with. So, it doesn't mean I have to hate you. It just means thank you. I've always said this, you want to move to a yes or a no as fast as possible, in the decision-making process. So, being transparent or being direct or whatever it might be, it's just nice. It's nice to have. Now, I wish that you would see the error of your ways and you want to do business with me, but there you go. You can't always do it.
Yeah. Well, you're really good about opportunities are everywhere. You just have to know how to look. This is what you say and
Yeah.
capitalize on them and don't sit back, act fast right before they're gone.
Yeah, and work the system. You got to work the system. I mean, I'm doing that today. I'm sitting here with I can give you the numbers right off the top of my head because I know exactly where I'm at. I got 48 really unbelievable opportunities that are 90 or better that I'm just in one category that I'm working in one of our council groups or I have a group that's just for thought leaders. You're part of that, Kris, and the value of the masterminding of that group and how well we do together in collaboration and how we work at growing each other's businesses and of course hyper scaling each of our businesses because of the intensity that we have in these relationships with each other and the gives that we give because it's just that a giving community. And so it's just positive. So right now I've got another, like I said, 48 that are at 90% or better that want to come in. I got another 78 that are thinking about coming in. I mean, it's just, and so you got to work the system. And so that means I got to write to them, email them, call them, text them, send them a video mail, whatever I have to do to get them to yes or no, let's go. Because, I only have so many spots and so much time. Are you in or out? And some people say, Jeff, it's not the right time. And can you call me in November? I'll do my best. I'm not sure there'll be an open slot, but if there is, I guarantee you I will call you. And that's what, you can be that way. But most people don't work that system, Kris. You know that. They don't work that system. Like their money 911. If you do certain things with your money, you're going to multiply your money and you're going to have a greater return and you're going to have a secure future and so forth and so on. You can build to retirement, build to whatever you go to, but you got to buy the lottery ticket first. By the way, I just bought my lottery ticket. I'm ready. I'm ready. I bought enough for the whole week.
Now. What?
That's what my financial advisor says. Just Hayzlett, I don't know, but if I were you, I'd buy some lottery tickets. No.
Right. You're just having fun. That is so cool. And you got one, or how many did you get?
No, I always buy. My daughter's so mad at me, but I helped put the lottery in place in South Dakota back years ago. And I just love playing little games and just seeing what we can do. So I'm one of those people that buys 20 Powerball and 20 mega ball or mega whatever, Mega Millions. I just buy $20 worth. You know what they've always asked me, they always say, you remember that you can do the add-on, the double up or whatever, the add-on. And I just say, I don't think anyone's ever won the double up. Maybe they have. I've never heard anyone who won the big jackpot for $1 billion and then actually bought the $1 billion double and then got $2 billion. I've never heard that yet. No. So I never do that. I figure, you win 40 million, 20 million. I don't care. 100,000. I mean, that's a lot of money. Sure. I don't care whoever you are. That's just a lot of zeros. So I'm happy when I win my $5 back or my $20 back. I'm always happy.
You do. You blow my mind because not only do you work your brains out, I mean, you really, but you also you're out there and snow sledding and, riding horses. And then next minute you're in Florida and the next minute you're in Dallas. And, you're sure not a lazy man. That's for sure.
No, I've always been a rambling man, I guess is like the song goes.
You seem pretty balanced
you have to when you have a wife like Tammy, she's, I'm 6'3", 200 and some odd pounds, and she's this 5'1", tiny little petite thing. And so she's nice. I'm not, she's good looking. I'm not, she's short. I'm not, all these, we're balanced. She's a singer. I'm a listener, cause I can't sing. And so, all these things. So you have to have, I remember back when I was very young in my early 20s and met Stephen Covey, and he did 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, one of the best books you've ever read. I didn't always like to listen to Stephen. He unfortunately has passed away, and I know his son well. But he I used to share the stage with him, but he was just a boring speaker. I always thought not the best speaker in the world, but he wrote a great book and had a great concept. And balance was one of the key things that he said. You had to balance between your personal life, your friends and family, your friends, your family, your business, and then your spirituality. And I thought that was a really, like a 4 teeter-totter, and you had to have a
Yeah.
balance between all those. And I always thought that was pretty good. There are times in my life I have not. I tend to overwork more than anything. And as I've gotten later in life, I've learned, no, I should enjoy this. I should sit back on the porch and have a scotch and, and do some hunting, or do some fly fishing, or do some things that I really like to do. But even when I'm, you know, my assistant said this to me today, because I'm just having a blast doing what I'm doing right now. And she goes, "You're the only person that wishes there were," I said, "I wish I had more hours in the day." And she says, "The only person that I know that wishes they had more time to work."
Well,
And,
yeah, I think I gotta say I'm one of those because, when the weekend comes, I used to go, I can't wait till Monday. And I think having my family, a lot of them have passed away. So that was my
yeah,
balance. And then less family, that just means it's all work. So I'm a little bit of a workaholic myself, so I can relate to that.
but I like to get outside. I know you do too. I know you love plants, and you do
Yeah,
gardening, and
gardening.
you've got some
Yeah.
beautiful stuff. I love to get out and work on the tractor, mow grass. I love to mow grass. I love to
Yeah.
just get out and drive my four-wheeler with a big mower behind it, and put on the headset and listen to KTWB 92.5 country.
There you
And,
go.
and I just enjoy things like that. So
Yeah.
which is great. Or you're out on a horse checking fences, or doing the
Yeah.
stuff that I like to do.
Little things mean a lot. And boy, you got
Yeah.
a nice green view. I mean, and with that
Yeah.
river
Yeah.
and
It's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous place.
I just want to put another plug in for C-suite network and thought leaders because I'm a baby inside of this, but I gotta say the hot seat that I went on, the mastermind and everybody. What really when you downloaded, you just start talking. It was like bing, 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 and I don't know why it just put me right into action. So it was like a quantum leap. Now, you go up and then you kind of hit a few walls, but just
Yeah.
keep going forward, right? But and it is by invitation, so it's not like everybody can be, you have a quality.
We want to make sure that people that are sitting around the table, I mean, not everybody's in the C-suite. Not everyone's invited to the C-suite. You earn your way into the C-suite. Not everybody's invited to a mastermind or to participate in a peer-to-peer council. You have to a little bit earn your way there, because we all want to be in a trusted network. And to be in a trusted network, you show up, you pay your price, you pay the dues, you get in, and you get active. And if you don't do certain things based on what the conditions of satisfaction are for the group, then we would ask you to leave, or others will ask you to leave, or you'll figure out pretty quick you should take off. But that's what's really great about being a part of a thought council, peer-to-peer council. Napoleon Hill outlined the power of a mastermind, and a mastermind is not the term has been just bastardized by a great number of people who don't know what they're doing. And because today you've got 19-year-old life coaches teaching masterminds. I'm going like, you're a life coach at
Come
19.
on.
You're not a life coach. You're a teen coach.
Right.
So and so we tend to have peer-to-peer councils that are based on knowledge and experience, and really important that it's based on counsel. And what do I mean by counsel? Well, anyone can give advice. Advice is usually given to people by people who have never been there before. But counsel, like the things that we set down with you, was given by people who have done it before. And they say, hey, here's how, Kris, here's how it worked for me. So when someone comes with an ask, that means an issue, a problem, something that they need better defined in order to achieve a breakthrough. And that's what masterminds do. That's what peer-to-peer councils do. That's what the power of working together in a network does. It gives you those breakthroughs that you need. And it's the counsel of others in that network, so that you say, I used to, when I was the chief marketing officer of Eastman Kodak, running a, $17 billion budget, they would come, other CMOs would come to me and they would say, Jeff, how'd you get out of the Olympics? Jeff, I need to get more out of NASCAR. I need to get more out of IndyCar, and these are all things that we had done. And I was leading and I was transforming that. Jeff, how did you do The Celebrity Apprentice with Donald Trump? How did you do this television show? How did how did you appear on the Conan O'Brien's Tonight Show or whatever, late night or with Jimmy Fallon or whatever? All of these things that I had done. And you could speak to it as counsel. I mean, this is how, because it's in a trusted network with people that others trust. That's how you got in there. And that makes it very powerful. That's what makes the C-suite network such a great network for executives, but both that are in business and those serving businesses, both.
Right. And you've got a stairway inside of there, because look, I've been in a lot of masterminds with quote famous people or whatever, but it never really came together for me. Like, I'm about to launch my course, Create Income You'll Never Outlive. And then
Yeah.
you, and I got to say, I saw your stairway of, the course and the mastermind, but it went to a different level with a council, even though it is a mastermind principle with a council, but the, the coordination,
Yeah.
right? It,
Yeah, well, we're focused in on what's driving you. So we spend a great deal of time trying to figure out what you want, and then trying to work with you. Is that the right thing? Because most people in profit masterminds or profit networks, I'm talking about false prophets or bad false prophets in terms of PROFIT, or
yeah,
profits like the biblical side, because to me those are most of those are, people that participate in those are starstruck. And I'm not saying they're all bad, but they're not focused in on true outcomes. And what most of those do is they show you the secrets behind door number one. And then when you get behind door number one, they say, oh, by the way, there's door number two and door number three.
give
Well,
me
we
that.
only got one door. That's it. And it's the door to success. And that's all we focus on, is then your success, but it's really truly mutual. Because I deal with people who go to this person's fire walk, or this person's
Right.
cold bath, or this person's meditation thing, or this person's whatever, all this stuff. And they come to me afterwards. They've spent fortunes,
Yes.
and they're looking for the gotcha, and they don't see any gotchas. There's no gotchas.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to focus. That's the nature of a trusted network. And then, you're with people who've actually done this. And, I had somebody that we're recruiting into our thought council, and they go, well, who's in it? I said, nobody you know. And they go, what do you mean? I said, you're used to these kinds of people, and you're not going to find them. I've got bishops to foreign countries. We've got this, we've got that, we've got bestseller, but they're all people that are tops in their category, but not in categories that you deal with. So, and that's what I think is really cool. Everybody's just doing a great job, and everybody's at different levels. I call them different zeros behind the numbers. Some are at 500,000, some at a million, some at a billion. It depends on what it is. And so we got masterminds that start at $1,000 a year to 2,500 to 10,000, 5,000, even in masterminds $60,000, $75,000, depending on what problem you're trying to solve, right? And then what the return is, and more value, more expense.
Right. And the beauty of it is the wisdom. There's a wisdom of experience, because you have all of that there, and you don't, you just do it casually, but you say a few things that tie it all get together, like the conscious giving council when we started talking about that, and your reflection back. I saw your excitement, and your excitement is like, somebody else gets this, because I'm just
Yeah.
carrying it around. It's like, am I off the wall here? Is this really too far out? It was like he heard me, and that was the price of the ticket, I guess.
Well, we hear that, I hear that a lot, Kris. Everybody comes to the meetings that we have. Some of them are weekly, some of them are monthly, some of them are every quarter. It just depends on the thing. But by the way, you've come to C-Suite Network. You can't go to all of it. Let's just be clear. I can't even go to it all anymore. There's just so much. I'm chairman. I own the thing, and I'm still not. I can't go to everything with the hundreds of meetings that we have now for everybody. But every time someone comes, they go, "That was worth it. That was worth it." And we hear that all the time, and I never want it to get old, because sometimes you find, here are the things that excite me and I wanted to do, and a lot of times what you find is, ooh, I don't want to do that. And I think that's just as important as the things that excite you, is that, again, to get the focus of where you want to go. And in order for you to be successful at what you want, again, driving those personal conditions of satisfaction. I mean, if I can help somebody do that, wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I can look back and say, hey, I did that, and luckily in my career, I've got a lot of those, and I've always been focused on that servant mentality of like, how can I help you? I mean, and if this, because you and I've talked on the phone or on a Zoom call, video call, and that's usually how I start every conversation. How can I help you?
Right.
And that's just always been the way I've been. And the more that we all could do that together, imagine what a world that would be like.
That's it right there. And that's, to me, that's the riches. That's our riches that no crisis can touch.
Uh,
Right.
well, it's not easy sometimes too. There's a great line, Pretty Woman, that Julia Roberts says it's easier to believe the bad stuff.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have a place to go and get the good stuff.
That's
So.
it. Jeffrey, it's a blast. We could just talk and talk here. We'll come back again for sure. And again, just tell everybody how to contact you and download your book.
Yeah, if you're watching, it's Jeffrey Hayzlett. You see it right there on the screen. You can Google me, Hayzlett. It's Jeffrey, Jeffrey. I get paid more for Jeffrey than Jeff, so that's why I go. No, anyway, just what's what my mother called me, so that's what my name is. And you just find me, Google me. You can do it, or go to C-Suite Network, SUIT, C-Suite, as in the corner office, Suite Network, and we'll be more than happy to take care of you. That's the best way to find us. We've got a Friday evening celebrates. Everybody's welcome. That's where everybody comes by. It's kind of like going on your way home. You stop off at the evening pub, meet your friends, get a little high five because you had a great week, pat in the back, or maybe you need a hug because it's been kind of a crappy week. Well, that's what we're there for. You get a chance to meet some other people. We do some breakouts every single Friday. You get a chance to meet some new people. And if you didn't like them when you're in the room, hey, don't worry, we're going to come back and break out again. You'll find another group. So that's the way it works, but you'll find great people. I've never found anybody that really had any bad experience. So, and you bring your wine to water to whiskey and come join us on a Friday night.
That's it right there. Jeffrey, it's a pleasure for you to be here, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
There's so much to learn about healthy money. I hope today's discussion brings you one step closer to securing and protecting your future. So you can get started on the right foot, go to meetwithkrismiller.com and schedule your free financial fitness strategy session. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to Money 911 so you don't miss our next episode, which includes health, wealth, and peace of mind.